Alright, hello guys, welcome back with a update, a little part 1.5 on the chess repertoire series. Well, I know I mentioned that I will release like a stream schedule last Sunday, I think, but because of boring adult stuff, administration things, bogging down my plans, making me unable to confidently come up with a schedule. I couldn't really do that, so I'm releasing this sort of update video to just let you know on the progress and why there isn't a part 2 yet. Well, first things first, I've gotten finally confirmed the internship and other things like that, so maybe I'll be able to plan things more consistently. But a major reason as to why there isn't a second part yet is because I'm still reading this book over here, The Easy Guide to the Reti Opening. So this is one of the sources that I mentioned before, where I would be referring and learning the Reti from. I think starting from books is very important because books provide you with that human touch to chess. It isn't just lines and evaluations and tactics and all of that and just pure calculation, but there's also like a human way, human perception as to how the positions feel, or how the lines or how the general characteristics of these lines are. So for example, this book over here is written by International Master Angus Dunnington. Admittedly, it's quite old. It was published in 1998, so a lot of the games were sourced from Russian tournaments and very old games and things like that. So theory at the time and theory today is definitely very different. But for my level, the play at my level might as well be that of much lower than Grandmasters of 1998. So I think it's still fine. The only important thing is to make sure that there aren't any objective mistakes with the book, or if I read through and I do find mistakes or blunders, which there are, I have to make sure that how does it reflect on the book's evaluation, how does it change the book's recommendation of certain lines and things like that. And if something is super winning due to a tactic found by a computer compared to easy to play for human, that doesn't really change much for the book's recommendation. But if let's say something that a book finds to be very winning or very fun to play or very challenging or unclear, and it turns out that's just a obvious high level tactic that can resolve the game, I need to then again reevaluate what does that mean for me, right? Does the tactic actually matter, or maybe it's just a computer move I can just disregard and still treat the book's evaluation as something that I can use, so something like that, for example. So it's going to take a long time, and also because of the book's use of Russian grandmasters, because I think Russian chess was at the top of the world at the time, so a lot of references to Russian chess masters. It was also very hard to track down a lot of their individual games because I wanted to see the full context of the games that were referenced. I didn't want to just look at at the lines that they were mentioned. I also want to look at how they converted, how the result ended up. Even though let's say they got a good position, did they really win, or did they have to get a draw? If it was a draw, how did it change and things like that. So because of that, it took a lot of time, and it's still taking a lot of time. In fact, I'm not even finished the book yet. Currently, I'm only up to sample game number 4. I think there are a total of how many samples are there? I don't remember, but I'm not going to share this because of copyright and whatever. I don't want to get into that. But you can see that in the book there are lots and lots of variation and lots of information, and I need to analyze all of these lines, to understand them, to track them down, to check if these games actually exist, and to try and determine whether these things are actually objective enough for my personal use, and so on and so forth. So the next part, part 2, actual part 2, will be after I finish reading the book, and I will be analyzing the 2 games. Actually, it was only one game. The game of Candidate Master Jaden Wong, annotated by Grandmaster Kevin Gore. So after I've read this book and I've read that annotation and analyze the other game by Candidate Master Jaden Wong, only then I will be confident enough to start part 2, where I'll be discussing on, now that you have processed all of this information, all of these sources that you have prepared, how to pick the lines the lines that suit you and the things that and how to modernize them. For example, in this book, a lot of the lines are from 1998. How to actually tweak them a little bit so that they still have that human touch, but it's not objectively wrong or objectively sharper according to the engine, so on and so forth. And because we don't want to completely follow the engines, we want to incorporate them in our study. So that will take quite a while. So part 2 will be quite some time away, but do not worry. If you might have noticed on my channel, I have a stream reservation for tomorrow 9 a.m. GMT plus 8, where I'll be playing a classical game against a Gurakot fellow chess club member, where we'll be playing a classical game. It's 30 minutes with 20-second increment for each move. So this has actually been going on for some time. Gurakot has been organizing bi-weekly classical chess games, but since I was busy with work, with academics, I didn't really join them, and today's my first time joining them. So feel free to hop onto the stream. I won't be reading chat at all, so feel free to discuss the lines with anyone who is also on the stream at that time. And I hope that my thought process during the game will be very educational for everyone of all levels. And I think classical games are really helpful to me at this point of my creation of a new repertoire, because when you create a new repertoire, you are feeding in lots of new information. Your chess knowledge has increased by a lot, understanding maybe not so much yet, but due to the large influx of knowledge and lack of instincts and the lack of pattern recognition, because you haven't played many games in those positions, classical games where you have the time to think things through while applying those theoretical knowledge into practical games, I find it a very helpful tool to help to consolidate that information that you have gained. So it's kind of like those isekai, those wuxia 小说, those wuxia novels, light novels or whatever like that, where after you've broken through to a new base, a new knowledge base, you need to cultivate, you need to consolidate your cultivation, right? You need to consolidate your learnings in games. And Blitz won't teach you much. It will force you to test out lines that you like, sure, but to actually consolidate and to understand what you have learned and what you have absorbed, classical games will be very, very nice. And since I haven't really played classical games before, tomorrow will be a great experience. So with that being said, that's all for this update. I'll wrap things up. See you guys tomorrow morning, and after that, part 2 or whatever videos I put out in between. So yeah, that's all. See you guys and peace. Wait, where's the transition? Anyway, I'll just see you guys tomorrow. Bye.